If you're noticing yourself feeling inadequate and you're not really sure why, check in to see if you've been comparing yourself. I've been noticing this feeling a lot for myself lately, so I want to share what helps me, and also obviously because we are humans that are wired to compare ourselves to others, and we live in this digital world where it's so easy to just see other people and compare ourselves. I wanted to share like the 3 ways that I see comparison come up and how to manage each one of those. Most recently, I've been noticing myself do a lot of lateral comparison, and lateral comparison is a term that I just made up because it makes sense in my brain, where I'm comparing myself to people who are in like a similar age range as me, maybe a similar like education level, similar like background, and looking at where they are comparatively to me. And for example, like I'm 5 years removed from graduating undergrad right now, right? So being able to see so many people that I went to school with and kind of like where they're at in life, or just in my friend group, how many people have like PhDs or master degrees, and I, on the other hand, took a completely different path and started my business when I was in college, and just seeing like where I am at in that. The important thing to notice here with lateral comparison is that you are on a different path, you are on a different journey. And that's like a really broad statement that I think with any comparison people can say, but especially when you're noticing yourself comparing you to your friends or to like a celebrity. Let's say like for me, I'm 26 right now, so if I were to compare myself to someone like Shawn Mendes, who's in music, or to Emma Chamberlain, who is in like fashion and influencing and all this stuff, like it's not a fair comparison because we're on different paths where we chose different industries, we have different like passions that we're pursuing, we have different work, we have different purposes that we are bringing into this world. And so it is not a fair comparison. And I know for my sister, for example, she already had 2 kids by the time she was my age. So if I were to try to compare myself to even that standard, it's like not not a fair comparison. This always reminds me of the old quote that if you judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree, it will go its whole life believing that it is dumb. And this is essentially how I always feel. And like what brings me back home to myself is like, oh, right, like I'm on a different path, I'm on a different journey. I know why I'm doing what I'm doing, even though like I might not feel like I'm where I want to be yet, or whatever that even like means, but that's okay, right? Like I'm on a different path and everyone else is also still figuring out their path. Like no one's a complete project. So there's not even a point in me comparing myself laterally to other people around me in the same like around the same age as me but in different fields. Like it's just not a fair comparison at all. The second form of comparison that I see myself get into is vertical comparison, and this one is really mostly just like career based. I think with a lot of other forms of comparison, it can be like your health and like the way that you look, or the quality of life that you're living, like how much someone's traveling, all the shiny object syndrome things that we notice that we compare ourselves to. Like that one, I feel like really shows up in lateral comparison, but vertical comparison is what it sounds like, where you're comparing yourself to somebody who is on the same path as you. For me, it would be like life coaches, people who are hypnotherapists, people who are spiritual guides, people who are healers, right? Like that pathway for me is like what I have chosen, what I feel called to. So when I notice people, especially if they have graduated from certification the same time that I did, or who have a similar background or who have a similar niche or like whatever, like when I notice myself comparing vertically, it's like, oh, I'm behind, right? Or why am I not there yet? Or how did they create the success when I haven't been able to create the success? Or like me seeing like the path that I took, and it's like, did I do the right thing? Can I trust this? Like, is this the path that's like for me? Like that's kind of where I get into when I notice myself comparing vertically. This one's especially hard, I think, for people who are in corporate, because you can see so much of like what's happening laterally as well as vertically for you. And so you're kind of cross comparing yourself on both directions. Like from your peers, maybe you're all consultants, or you're all like researchers, or you're all entrepreneurs, or you're all whatever. And then you also have the people who are like up and down, quote unquote, literally, of like junior versus like executive, or however it goes. And the thing that grounds me here is similar to knowing how you are on your own path, it also comes with your own timing. And that can be maybe easier said than done, as far as knowing that that's true and then feeling like it's okay for that to be true. The thing that grounds me here is to know that I'm on my own timing. And similar to knowing that you are on your own path and that's okay, to really believe that you are in your own timing and that that is okay, that your timing looks different, that, you know, you're not behind on anything. Like, that is part of the work here, is to really choose intentional beliefs and to show yourself proof that it is okay that you're on your own timing. I find with timing for success, whether that is going to be an opportunity in your career or even like a relationship and meeting the right person, it comes down to three things. The first being your level of healing. Have you been able to work through and like clear out the subconscious beliefs that have led you to sabotage yourself, to feel like you're not good enough, to feel like you're not worthy, to feel like you need to hide certain parts of yourself? Anything that's like blocking your authenticity, I feel like that comes down to actually healing, right? To be able to have a regulated nervous system so that you're not reactive and you are able to actually make decisions that are right for you, to not be people pleasing, to not be manipulative, to not try to force something to happen, to not try to control a situation, especially when it comes to like business and clients. I can be the first to admit that I remember feeling like very graspy, really desperate, and feeling like I need to push people to buy my service or to work with me because otherwise they wouldn't. Kind of like what you're taught of, like, you're the expert, you know, and sometimes like you can't trust other people to know that they want what they want, or they're going to get like so caught up in their own fear and their own like doubts about themselves that you need to be the one to like push them into saying yes to something that you know is good for them. And it like came from a really well-intentioned place, right, of wanting to serve. But I noticed for myself, like later on, like that was just not the way that I wanted to do things. And luckily that wasn't the case like all the time, but I remember a few instances where it was, and I was like, oh, I hated that. I do not like that feeling at all, because it's also not aligned for the other person coming into it. Especially with the work that I do, where if I'm the one who was having to motivate them to say yes, like they're not going to be self-motivated to do the work themselves. So when I was able to actually sign really aligned clients, that came from me having done a lot of healing work to be able to trust, like, they know what's best for them. I don't need to chase anybody. I don't need to adjust my prices. I don't need to adjust my services. It's like they will see the value if they see it for themselves. I'm just here to help convey them and help them make that decision for themselves of whatever they think is best for them. The other two factors that contribute to your success and the timing of your success is going to be your skills as well as luck. And you do not want to underestimate luck, okay? Luck is just something you do not have control over, so you don't have to think about. But this is really the synchronicities that happen of you being in the right place at the right time, talking to the right people. And when I say right, it's really just like whatever feels aligned. And this has happened so much to me over the last few months. So many synchronicities of meeting people who are in my space, who want to collaborate, who see my gifts, who I feel excited to work with to some capacity, right? And to collaborate, to create something together. Like, it is just super cool and fun that those things happen, but you cannot underestimate that a lot of this success, it just comes down to that luck timing. The other part that you actually can take charge of is your skills. Have you done the work to be able to work on your skill sets, whether that is like for me in tarot, doing my own practice in my reading and in my own pulling cards for myself, doing practice of like interpretations and stretching my own intuition, right? Like, those are some of the things that I am able to control, is like to build my skill sets, to gain more education, to practice more, to work with more people, to literally feel like I am the best at what I do. People are able to feel and see your devotion to your craft because it will come out in just the way that you talk about it. And this is the thing that gets me out of vertical comparison, is whenever I'm doing the thing that I know I need to be doing for myself, for my skills, to build my craft. So anytime I'm hosting a workshop and there might be like 11 people on their live, I'm not thinking, oh, I wish there was like 111 people or 1,011 people. I'm like, oh my gosh, great, 11 people showed up. How can I serve them best, right? And I'm not even necessarily asking myself, how can I serve them best? I'm like, I'm showing up, I'm getting engaged, I'm asking them questions, they're participating, and then to me, I'm like, oh, look at me. Like, I'm doing exactly what I want to be doing. I feel successful. I am living my purpose. So it gets me out of like comparing myself to what anybody else is doing, because I know I'm doing what I need to. So the last form of comparison that I find to actually be the hardest one to get out of is your past and future self comparison. And this one's the hardest because it's just you. Like there's no one else that you're comparing yourself to. And there's this huge, rhetoric around just compare yourself to who you were yesterday. Make sure that you're a better version of yourself tomorrow. And while this can be good advice, it can also be really challenging and bring up these issues. Here's why comparing yourself to yourself may not be the best advice. If you see the past version of yourself as bad and you see it as your fault, as in you are blaming yourself for your past and you're trying to be better in an effort to run away from essentially who you were in the past, then that's not going to be helpful. Like, let's say I was a corporate employee and I worked in big law for 5 years of my life, went to school before that, and then now I decided that I want to start my own business. Maybe I want to start like a nail brand. And I really believe in this brand, and I just quit my job because I saved enough money and I want to go all in on this brand. And I catch myself comparing my finances to the money I made as a lawyer in big law. I'm gonna feel inadequate if I compare myself to this version of me who was so well trained in law and in this specific industry, and now I'm comparing like, why am I not seeing as much success? Why am I not building faster? Why am I not like growing on social media and all this stuff? Like all these skills that are completely different from what I needed as a lawyer. I'm going to feel inadequate, right? And the point of comparing yourself to your past is not to use it against yourself. You use your past to evaluate who you were, what was not serving you, what were the like beliefs, the mindset pieces, and the way that you were treating yourself, going about the world that made you not feel authentic to yourself, made you feel unfulfilled, made you feel anything that wasn't aligned to you. The same goes for comparing yourself to past relationships, right? Like perhaps you had a really long relationship in the past and now you just got out of a really short relationship, or maybe dating has been hard and you haven't been in a relationship in a long time, and you might be feeling a certain way about it. But noticing like the success of a relationship and your ability to feel fulfilled by a relationship does not come down to how long does it last, or how quickly you can get into a relationship, or how fast you can make a decision in dating somebody or not dating somebody. A lot of it comes through as you learned right from your past. You can trust yourself more now. You have hopefully been able to heal a lot of the wounds, the attachment styles, the things that maybe kept you anxiously attached to somebody, the things that had made you maybe, stay in a relationship that you didn't want to be in for too long. You came into a lot of this awakening that allowed you to leave this past behind so that you can now create a different future for yourself. So in these scenarios, it's really important to take the wisdom that you learned from your past and let go of the stories, right? Let go of what it looks like and just recognize that you have that wisdom in you now. Whether you're romanticizing the past and you feel like your life isn't as good as it used to be because you're not making the same salary, or because you don't have this relationship, or maybe things just look different, or maybe your body looks different, like your circumstances look different. If you're romanticizing the past, recognize that that's the past, and that it came with a different set of challenges, a different set of beliefs, a different set of actions and feelings that added to that circumstance. If you're comparing yourself to your past and you hate the past a lot, give yourself some grace, give yourself some compassion to know that who you are today would not have been possible without that past version of yourself thinking the way that they did, making the choices that they did, and leading you to where you are today. Now, on the other hand, there's your future self, your ideal self, your highest self, as some people would say. And look, as someone who's deeply spiritual, I love the whole idea of visualization, of manifestation. I believe in it. I know the power of it. And also, it's really important to note that when you are visualizing, when you are manifesting this ideal future version of yourself, you're not actually manifesting the things. You're not manifesting you being on stage, or the multiple 7-figure business, or the dream partner with the kids and like the perfect house in the perfect city. And like, you're not actually manifesting the thing. You are manifesting an energetic state. And when you're in this energetic state where you feel free, you feel authentic, you feel loved, you feel worthy, you feel capable, you feel successful, you feel abundant, when you are in that state of gratitude and appreciation and peace in your life, that is what attracts in what it looks like for you in that version of you. And I feel like we've all had this experience where having this perfectionist way of thinking has actually led us to experiencing lower self-esteem, or to, question our own trust in ourselves and our own abilities, because you can come from this place of like, yeah, no, I believe I can change. I can like be the creator of my reality, and like I choose what I do with my time, and blah, 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 blah. And therefore I am able to wake up in the morning at 7 a.m. and do my perfect morning routine that's like 14 steps, and then leads to me doing really productive work with the Pomodoro technique, and then going for a walk and going for a break, and then working out, and then like not being on my phone all day, and blah, 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 blah. And especially if you've actually had one of your like quote perfect days, it can be really easy to be like, well, I can do that every single day. And then you're comparing yourself to this like one best day that you've had, and not giving yourself credit for all the other things that you were able to do, because chances are like life happens, right? Maybe you start off on the right foot, but then like you get a call from your family, you get called into a meeting, something happens to your cat, like whatever, life just happens. And now you're like thrown off, and now you're not able to achieve your ideal self, right? And your ideal self continuously lives in the future, and you keep trying to reach this goal that is only available to you in the future. This leads to this constant striving energy and this lack energy, where this version of you where you can be happy, feel like you're on track, feel like you are successful, feel like you're doing everything that you need to be doing, lives in the future. It doesn't give you the flexibility to actually respond to the present moment, and therefore leading you to feeling really frustrated, leading you to comparing yourself more, leading you to negative self-talk and judgment and feeling behind, and yada, yada, yada. The best way to get out of this line of thinking and this line of comparison is to take it one day at a time, to truly remind yourself every day that your best is going to look different, and that is okay. Just like how if you wanted to have a sustainable relationship with exercise and movement, that's going to look different at different phases of your life, as well as given what energy levels you have. You might be in a phase where you're taking a break, but that doesn't mean you've just given up on fitness, because you have decades of working out and like of movement to do, and it's just going to look different. You're not going to be doing HIIT in your 60s. You're not going to be able to go for a run if you've broken your leg, right? Like it's going to look different for you to go through and be healthy, to continuously move your body and be in this workout routine. And therefore you need this flexibility where you're not judging yourself based off of this ideal version of you, where if you're not going to the gym, if you're not going for a walk every day, if you're not doing XYZ, then you're not being your best self. So when it comes to like productivity and your work and your relationships and your health, it's the same thing. Like you're going to have a lifelong relationship with yourself. You're going to have a lifelong relationship with work, with money, with love. And so every single day, what does your best look like? Because believe me when I say, I know like the difference between my best day on my luteal phase versus my best day versus on my follicular phase. It is completely night and day. So to have a clear understanding of what are your priorities in your life as a whole, and then what are your priorities, what are your focuses in this moment in your life, is going to help you take it day by day, do your best, and then not compare yourself to your past or to your future, but just be able to stay in the present and do your best today. If you're tired of feeling inadequate and you want to stop comparing yourself, stop trying to be perfect, and stop tying your self-worth to your productivity, then I can help you out. As a certified life coach, RTT hypnotherapist, and as a spiritual guide, I help people heal their self-worth, unblock their intuition, and align with their soul's path. Through hypnotherapy and through spiritual tools, we can get to the energetic and subconscious root causes of why you don't feel enough, why you feel like you always have to be doing more, why you don't feel satisfied or fulfilled in your life, and then tap you back into your true self, which is going to have the codes to your purpose, to your feelings of worthiness, and to your soul gifts so you can lead with them. This is going to help you tap back into your intuition, your true self, so that you can have this guiding light as you make decisions in your life, trusting that you are making the right decisions for you, that you know who it is that you are, and you trust in your ability to get what you want. My clients with me on average reduce their stress levels by 41% and then increase their quality of life by over 30%. As a multimodality practitioner, I have all these tools, from your mindset, for your emotional intelligence, for your nervous system regulation, as well as for your spirituality, so that you can get exactly what you need every single time. This has worked for thousands of people, and you are going to be no exception. But if you have any questions, you can always reach out to me and book a consultation. The link is all going to be in my bio. I have single sessions right now that are available to book that's going to combine spiritual wisdom and pragmatic guidance so that you can get the clarity that you need to move forward in your life with confidence. That's all going to be available again in that link in my bio, and I look forward to hearing from you soon.